I'm trying to make a short video. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. But I was sitting here thinking about visitation for children. And before I actually tell y'all what my thought is, I'd like to first explain that courts are starting to realize, I want to say scientists, because I mean, imagine they had a scientist and they had to study it and everything else. But anyways, I had to take a parenting class, and in that parenting class, it stated that parent annihilation is a form of abuse. When you try to keep one parent away from the other parent, it is a form of abuse. Because a lot of times what happens is if a child stays away from the other parent for a long period of time, a lot of times what ends up happening is that child's parents, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, ends up abusing the child. And then in some cases, the parent might even abuse the child. So it is a form of abuse for one parent to see the child more than the other. I can't 100% guarantee this, so don't quote me on this part, but I would say that it's a form of abuse for the child if either parent had more say-so than the other. A lot of courts probably do that way. I don't know, the way there ain't no arguing. But in my opinion, if the law represents one parent more than the other, then that little bit of authority outweighs the other parent, so therefore that parent really has no say. In my opinion, it should be during what time, like for instance, if parent A has a child, then parent A makes all the decisions for that child during that time. Parent B has a child, the parent makes all the decisions during that time while that parent is responsible, legally, morally, and financially responsible for that child during that time. With that being said, that, you know, I think I lost my train of thought, but that's the point that I was making. The only exception to that is when it comes to education and medical. Alright, I would say that's the two biggest things, education and medical. So in my opinion, I think that's where the law needs to state it's in the best interest of the child. Meaning that, let's just use education for example. If the parent A lives in a better town or better county, whatever, or has the means to pay for that child to go to a better school, then that school, because it is a better school and the child is supposedly supposed to get more education, better education, a better quality of education, then that child should be going to that better school. I also feel that, for instance, that way there ain't no bullying, because, in some cases there are some men and probably some women out there that's got better jobs, and so the child can come with them, live with them, whatever. They would probably pay that money, especially if they want to abuse the child. They would pay that money for the child to go to a better school. That way they'll have more time with the child. So with the exception that I would say, for instance, let's just say my case, Or let's not use me for example. I think that whatever parent, I'm trying to think, because either way, to try to not be biased, it would be very hard. I would say whatever parent is trying to get that done, then that parent would be responsible for going and picking up and taking that child during the time that he or she is not with that child, going back and forth. So in other words, if parent A lives in 20, let's say 30 miles away from it, then that parent, I don't know. I don't know how to put that, because that's be a lot of money. But I know me personally, if I had to let my child stay with me for 3 days, whatever, out the week, because that's what I'll get to explain that in a minute. I wouldn't mind taking my child to school back and forth. Now, it'd probably get a little aggravating if I had to drive 40, 50, 60 miles away every day for 3 days straight. It'd be kind of hard to do. So education, I might need to work on. So, but let's go to medical. Let me rephrase that. Maybe, because I wouldn't mind doing it. It might still be a little hard to do, but maybe the courts needs to give that parent the option to move to that county wherever it's better, and then both parents can work whatever they need to do. Let's just put a side note on that. That might be a gray area. Somehow that's got to be solved, because the child got to go to school, not unless you're going to homeschool the child. I don't know. But let's go to medical. I think if either parent says no, then whatever's going on medically, they should not be able to do. For example, shots, medication, surgeries. If one parent does not agree, then the answer is no. And the honest way, in my opinion, the honest way they could get whatever is to be done is to have, I would at least say, 3 doctors that would be willing to put their job and their finances, all that on the line, to potentially say, well, let me rephrase that. I think that unless it's a life or death situation, that's the only time a doctor can come in and say, hey, look, I'm making a I don't know what it's called, a decision, a moral decision, to save this child's life, because at the end of the day, that child has the right to freedom of the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness too. So I would say then the doctor should be able to, whether both of them says no or yes, whatever, if that doctor feels that he needs to do something to save that child's life in a life-death situation, then yes, he should be able to override that. Other than that, no. That should be something that the courts should decide. And to a certain extent, if 2 parents can't agree to where the child must go, maybe that needs to be something the courts need to decide. Then the other parent would be responsible for getting that child back and forth to school. Um, I also believe that just because that parent does not get that child back and forth to school, it's not the courts or the government responsibility to force that parent to do that. In other words, the government should not be able to lock a parent up because they don't believe in school, point blank. But that's probably not going to happen, so might as well not even mention that, but that's my opinion. Alright, that's the two flaws in the system, is education and medical. Everything else, religion, all that, if you have one that's a Buddhist, one's that is or let's do the totally opposite. Let's say one's a Christian and one's an atheist. Let's say A is atheist and let's say B is a Christian. And the child with B, the parent, up until the child is a certain age, that child must listen to that parent. Vice versa when it comes to B, whatever. And I think I'm saying the same thing, A and B. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. During religious things, when the child is with A, whatever that parent says go, and when the child is with B, whatever that parent says goes. And I'm trying to use letters instead of saying mother, father. That way I'm not being sexist or biased in any way. You take it whatever you want to take it. Yeah, cutting hair. If when it comes to cutting hair, the way they dress, same thing. Me personally, I wouldn't want my daughter wearing dress and doing what is it called? To me, it seems like a target. Cheerleading. It's not modeling, but I forgot what, pageants. Don't believe in pageants, and I don't believe in cheerleading and stuff like that. That's just me. I reckon it would be fine to a certain extent if they didn't go all out. To me, it feels like the child is out for a target. You're making your child a target for some sick pervert, and I couldn't do that to my child. But if that's what you agree, if that's what you like, that's you. That's not me. If I ever had an old lady that wanted to do that, that'd be something me and her would have to sit down and talk about. And if that's something that my daughter wanted to do, that might be a different story. But I don't have a daughter, I got a little boy. Thank God. But anyways, let's get back to what I was saying. So basically, when the child is with parent A makes all the decisions. When the child is with parent B, parent B makes all the decisions. Unless it is an emergency or unless it is something involving with medical or education, then it's in the best interest of the child. What is that child going to get the best out of? And I think, to be honest with you, I think you can't put that on paper, because every situation will be different. So with that being said, I think that might be something that the judge might need to settle if two parents can't agree. That way he can weigh both options, because that child still, even though that child is considered property in the Constitution, that child is still a human being, and it still have the rights, just as we adults do, under the Constitution, of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I would say the child is property until the child is at least, some people will disagree with me, but I'd say at least 12 years old, and then that child should know right from wrong to be able to make his or her own decisions. That's just my personal belief. I would say I wouldn't mind, You know, it wouldn't be a very small percentage, but I can guarantee you that the child knows right from wrong at 15. So let's just say 15. But my personal belief would be 12. I doubt it, because a lot of people probably would go haywire. But anyways, with that being said, let's get to the main thing, the reason why I want to start this video. There is 168 hours in a week. If you took that and divided it up in half, that would be 84 hours divided between the two parents. The way that would work, the way I feel that it should work, is no parent should, now it's different if the parent decides to let the child go, whether it's with the parent or somebody else, a family member, a friend, whatever. But a parent should be legally, should have the right, let me put it that way, should have the right to 84 hours in 1 week. The way I see it is, for that 1 week, a week, technically, a lot of people don't realize this, but technically a week starts on Sunday and ends on Saturday. A lot of people's got it mixed. A lot of people think it starts on Monday and ends on Sunday, but it technically starts on a Sunday. The first of the week starts on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday. That's the way I heard somebody explain it to me. But most people think it starts on a Monday, ends on a Saturday. On a Sunday. So there's 7 days in a week. If you took that 7 days, which is 24 hours a day, times it or divide it into half, it would be 3 days and a half. Which, like I said, there's 24 hours a day. So if you took 24 times it by 3, it would be 72 hours. And then you add 12 hours, because you got 1 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock in the afternoon, which that's when you would change. So that'd be 12 hours. So in my opinion, and this, you don't want to use the actual days of the week, because then that would get confusing. So I would say by the hours. Do it by the hours. No parent should, unless I'm trying to figure out how to word it. No parent should go 84 hours without seeing their child. That's my opinion. Now, for instance, let's say if I get my child, let's say 2 parents, really. I would say 84 hours is plenty enough time to give that child some space. To, for a family member or something like that, and then you need to call that child. You need to do something, which really and truly, depending on their age, you would want to talk to that child between that time. But I'd say 3 days and a half should be plenty of time for a bond. To me, I don't like the thought, especially after hearing the things. It's a lot of it's not a lot of time for somebody that's good to their child, that babies their child, whatever you want to call, but it's a very long time to a child that might be being sexually assaulted, physically assaulted, verbally assaulted, or at the end of the day, just wants their mama or daddy. I would say 3 days and a half is plenty of time. And then, for the most part, you're being fair to both man and woman. It's not, okay, all the woman has to say or all the man has to say. You're protecting, and then at the end of the day, you're also protecting the child too. So, to me, this right here would be perfect to, I mean, you can't please everybody, and this is not going to please everybody. Especially when you have a man or a woman that hates each other guts, and feels that that child belongs to them, and only them should be able to make the decisions. But at the end of the day, it took both parents to make the child. Yes, the mother might have carried them, but what a lot of women don't understand is you might have carried them, and had all your bodies changed and all that as far as physically, but a man goes through a lot of mental stuff. It's a mental thing for a man, the mental stuff that a man go to. While my son's mama was happy as she can be, going to the baby showers, going to the baby doctors, had all that excitement, experience doing what she done. And even if we would have been together during that time, the man worries about how is he going to afford that child. I know that's what I was worrying about. How was I going to take care of that child? What will it be like? All that stuff. We stress a lot, and I'm pretty sure women stress that way too. But I might be biased, but our things are mental, and especially it's even more mentally challenged when you're going through a divorce or you're going through a breakup. And the sad thing about it is, if you're not married, if the child is born out of wedlock, it's a whole lot harder. It's more harder, because immediately that mother has all the rights. She don't have to tell you anything, or nothing like that. So it's a whole lot more stress, because not only do you have to worry about how to take care of the child, how am I supposed to get money to get a lawyer, that way I can fight for my rights, how am I supposed to pay child support, and then how am I supposed to get money to fight the mother to be able to see my child. So that's that. And I'm sorry I went off topic, but I wanted to explain that real quick. But so my personal opinion would be, no child should be away from their parents unless the parent agreed to it. Because, kids are going to want to go spend time with their friends, and you got parents that work. And unfortunately, some of them goes overseas to fight for our country, and some of them is over the road. They work over the road. But, so in my personal opinion, in them cases, once that parent comes home, they should immediately get to see their child. No ifs, ands, or buts. If they went 6 months without seeing their child because they was working, and not because they was off partying, doing whatever, they should immediately be able to come home, pick up their child, keep the child for 84 hours, and then take it back to its parents. And then wait for 84 hours for that parent to be able to spend more time with the child, and then back and forth until that parent has to go back over the road. That's if they can't agree. Now, if they can get along and agree, then it might be longer. If I had an old lady that worked over the road, and I had the child, and she worked, she was gone for a couple weeks, couple months, whatever. I'd be more than willing when she come home to let her have the child until she went back over. It wouldn't be months, and I'd at least have to see the child at least on the weekend or something like that, something like that. Instead of just throwing the child and not seeing about the child. But You get what I'm saying. But anyways, a parent should be legally, if they want to, one parent, they shouldn't be able to go, because I don't like using the word because it makes you think that you have to have the child during these hours, and that's not the case. What I'm trying to prevent is from one parent keeping the child and holding the child over the other parent. I'm trying to keep a parent annihilation down, because if this happens, if they keep that child away more than 84 hours, then that's a form of abuse, and then the judge can order, hey, if you can't follow the rules, you can't do what you're supposed to, then we'll give the parent that's following the rules and doing what they're supposed to that parent, and then you can just have supervised visitation, or you can get the child every other weekend. Because in a case right now, in most cases, whether it's the father or the mother, because it's just as common in women as it is in men, it's just not common to hear about it. I'm just going to use the example for a man. A man gets the child every other weekend, then so that means he has to wait 2 weeks before he could even get another chance to go around to get to see the child. So before you know it, it would take what, two months to even hold the child, to even think about holding the child. It'd take a month to even think about holding the mother in contempt, because one visit she might have a good excuse. It might be small, but then the next time, yeah, you might have a good valid excuse. The next time, you still might have a good valid excuse. But after the 5th or 6th one, then it starts becoming a pattern, and then that's when you might take the mother to court. But even though you take the mother to court, it takes about 3 or 4 times to taking the mother to court before the judge will even do something. In most cases, depending on the judge and the circumstances behind it and what's all going on. So with this being said, it would speed up that process, because let's say 3 days go by. Let's say you have the child for 84 hours. Yeah, 84 hours. Okay, you give it to the other parent. The other parent keeps it for 84 hours. You meet the parent at the sheriff department to pick up the child. That would be another thing I would, because, I mean, if you're following this, most likely y'all can't get along, or one parent is trying to keep the other parent away from the other parent. So if you're following this, I would say they need to meet at the sheriff department, and that or CASA. I'd say the sheriff department is my personal opinion, unless they can agree to meet in a public place and keep peace. But anyways, they would meet at the sheriff department. The mother does not show up. There's no call, no show. Okay. Next day he goes up there. No call, no show. Third day he goes up there. No call, no show. Then you know something's going on. Alright. Now I've done missed 3 days. There's no call, no show. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I done got, for these 2 days, a police report showing that she never showed up. And she's supposed to show up at 12. So there's a time at 12. And there's no show, no call, no show. No excuse, or she might have did call, she might have did show. You still need to get a police report. Then, okay, then you can probably by day 3, you probably done went to the court or started writing a letter, whatever that process is. I don't know the 100% process. I think all it is writing a letter to the judge and say, hey, look, I need a court date. I think, I'm not sure. I'm still trying to do the research. But anyways, you write your letter, send it to the judge sets a date. If let's say it takes a month, 30 days. During them 30 days, if that mother has not let that father see that child, there's no excuse why she couldn't get that child up there. or at least picked up the phone and said, hey, look, I can't make it. My car broke down. I can't get from point A to point B. I don't have no way of going. In that case, you know, it might be best for that parent, if they want to see that child, then they go pick that child up. Yeah, and in that case, that could happen. I don't feel, you know, I think it should be, I don't know, because I don't want to say that, because some parents, it's hard to keep a vehicle. So I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even put that in people's mind. But, you know, if you want that child, you do what you got to do. You go pick up that child. So that's that. In my personal opinion, I would use a family relative and record it, or record it and then go pick up the child. And whatever you do, do not go inside the house. Stay inside the yard and keep a recording device on. But anyways, that's that. So it would speed up the process of taking it to court. So you don't have to wait months to get 3 missed, you know, 3 missed visitations. You can hurry up and get them. Have the paperwork ready to take it to court, and then, in my opinion, it might take a month for the judge to hear. And I actually, really and truly, to me personally, what should happen is if they miss more than 3, you know, then what should be able to do is just like if the police were to get a warrant. However, the police gets a warrant, that's the way that should be just as easy as a citizen. You'll get a warrant for the other parent's arrest, and they would arrest the child. They arrest the parent and put the parent behind bars for 3 days, and during them 3, or I'd say for 84 hours. I would say that. I'd say for 84 hours. They would make an arrest, and they would lock the parent up for contempt of court. You know, I mean, naturally, I would say the parent would at least have to miss 3 visits, according to this. 3 days. She'll miss 3 days. By that time, the judge will write a warrant for her arrest. Police will go pick her up, bring the child to you. You'll keep the child for 84 hours. The parent will get out, and then she can get the child. If that's what it takes, that's what it will take. You know, if the parent, eventually that parent will get tired of being locked up. So either that parent will give up and give the child to you, or he or she will get some do-right in them and do what's right. I also feel after 3 times of them getting locked up because they don't want to follow the rules, then their rights as a parent should go out the window, and they would only have every other weekend. I also feel that by no means should a parent